Hello and welcome to Generic Sports Podcast. I'm your host, the Goose, Josh.
And I'm John.
Today we are going to be talking about the NFL Week 2 in review. I guess that's what we're calling it right now. So So we'll start off with last night's Sunday night football game and go through the Sunday games and end on the Monday night football games and get a little of everything in. If you know, some games are a little more exciting than others. But let's start with the Dolphins and the Patriots.
Oh, that was a hell of a game last night. I mean, as a Dolphins fan, I enjoyed seeing the defense play better, but we definitely should have kept them at bay, and it shouldn't have been as close as it should have been.
Right? There was like another they said like the 10th one-score game of Week 2. So
I mean, when it was like 17-3, or like close to the end of the first half, it should have tried to keep. It should have either A, scored more, or B, it should have been a lot further apart. And I need to see the defense get better. At least it was better than it was the first week, but because we held back the rushing yards to only like 88, so that's way better than the first game.
Right? I mean, I think that it's Week 2 is still, I don't want to say that preseason like football, but it's still a really early in season type of feel. It's we're gonna I think anything after Week 5 is when we should, like Week 4, Week 5 is when we start to get real serious about what we're seeing from these teams and going from there. Sometimes we get an amazing turnaround like the Detroit Lions of last season, where they were so close to the playoffs, but that's that's way off.
Also, the Jaguars turned it around last season too.
That's true too. So like there are a couple of teams that we'll see that from as the season goes on. Yeah.
Getting back to the Dolphins, I mean, Bill Belichick really knew how to stop, had a game plan that stopped the offense from lighting it up. Like Tua didn't have like the 466 yards, but we countered back with running the ball and actually sticking to the run, because Raheem Mostert ran for over 100 yards, and it was a very good game plan that we had our own game plan to match.
I mean, I feel like the offense lost a little steam in the second half, and we know how that goes in other games. I think that it was a real defensive battle, especially in that second half, and special teams really came down. Like that 50, I forget if it was like a 50-yard field goal that was attempted or something, but the guy that just ran off and ran in and blocked that kick, I'm just like, that really shouldn't be anything new, but it is. It's never been done before. How is that possible? I mean, we always see these receivers and stuff like running, basically making adjustments and lining up differently. So that was literally no different on the defense. Just, you can run on the side and then boom, it was a blocked field goal the
timing was fantastic, and I think we're going to see that way more in the league. Since it's a copycat league, but thankfully it didn't come down to special teams affecting us with one missed field goal and one blocked field goal, because that just was impressive.
It was impressive. It really could have changed. And I'm not gonna lie to we were watching the games. There were a few bad decisions by the refs, and I get it. The refs, you can't blame the refs on everything, but I do hate when a game comes down to the refs calling or not calling something. And this is one of those cases where it was the second time, at least in the games that we really paid attention to, that it happened. And I'll get into the first one a little later, but I'm sorry, but Strange made that first down. You're looking at the line, and there's like the guy who's holding the pole, and then there's this little orange marker, and I swear, like, I'm seeing, and I'm like, he's beyond that, he's at it. And the worst thing about it is, it's not that the fact that they went and reviewed it and said, oh, no first down. It's the fact that they reviewed it, didn't say this is where the spot of the ball is, and we're going to give it a measure, because there was no measurement. That is the worst thing because
Mhm.
we're here watching this game and like, oh no, it's like, it's like last 2 minutes of the game. It's like, like that's some of the most exciting time in any sport is especially in football, like prime time game, and we're gonna be like, nope, no measurement, we're gonna call it back. Like, come on, refs. Like, this
I
is
mean,
this is not what the technology was for.
right? Like, I wish it was measured, and like, well, honestly, which one really is we need to look into which one really is the first down, the true first down marker, the orange thing on the ground, or the guy carrying the thing, because it should be it was the guy carrying the thing.
It's always been the guy carrying the pole.
That's always what I thought. I mean, I don't know, like, I don't know the official rules or officialness of it all, but, I'm happy Miami won. I just wanted to, like, I didn't think the New England Patriots were going to tie the game, even if they'd made that first down. I think Miami's defense would have stopped them. I just wanted something more concrete to celebrate, not like to celebrate it. If he was stopped well before it and we could visually see it, then I would have been like excited. Like, I was just neutral because it's like, we were kind of just given this. Like, I know we won. I'm happy we won, but it was kind of like, it's like, I'd rather have our, like, we've earned it, not given it. And I mean, we did earn it. We did play our heart, like, they did play their hearts out, and they did do really well. Like, Andrew Van Ginkel was really good in replacing the injured Jalen Phillips, and there were a lot of standouts. It's just refs need to ref better.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna sit here and say, wow, the Patriots played so great. Like, it should have. No, the Patriots did play really great defense. Mm-hmm. They did cover that, and Christian Gonzalez, like, whoo, boy, I knew he was gonna be a problem when the Patriots drafted him. I'm like, I can't believe he fell to where he fell. Mm-hmm. But that being said,
and I mean, Matthew Judon, I said in the predictions, like, one that I said he's a kaiju, and he plays like a kaiju. He is tough to stop, except I saw one player, I saw a replay of something like Alec Ingold our fullback got into like a battle with him, and that was fun to see. But still, their defense is so hard to stop.
As I was saying, that doesn't take away from how good Miami played, and also it doesn't. I mean, I don't want to put it all on Mac, but because they had a good first week, but like they do need to come alive sooner than the first. Like, they need to come alive in the first quarter. They play better. Like, Hunter Henry's good. Like, I mean, they do need some better wide receiver. I mean, it's like Devontae Parker and Juju were making plays, but I can't really remember anybody else outside of the tight end, like Hunter Henry and Gesicki and Juju and Devontae Parker. That was pretty much their offense.
I mean, like I've said before, like, they got rid of Gesicki and Devontae Parker. Like, these were guys, like, these are like number one guys when you don't have anyone better, but they're not like your true number one guys. Devontae is a good, like, maybe number two, and Gesicki has problems. Gesicki is a receiving tight end, not a blocking tight end. It's still that they need more weapons for Mac.
They do.
But the whole what was it, no huddle offense that Bill O'Brien still, that is very tough to stop.
They need to focus in on that. Like, if they can script out some plays, like, while he's sitting and saying like let's do this and this, and very rarely going to the huddle, I think it's going to help Mac's game, and it's going to help Patriots, and they can get a few wins coming up in the next
they are probably like one of the toughest 0-2 teams. Like, they just played two really good teams.
Well, I mean, who's not a tough? We'll get into the 0-2 teams.
I know, right?
Like, who's not a tough 0-2 team right now?
I think there's some 1-1 teams that aren't as tough. So
yeah, I was gonna say, like, even the Cardinals, who are supposed to be quote unquote tanking, have looked good in both their losses. So with that being said, well, we'll just get into more of the 0-2 or teams, and man, my Broncos. They looked really good in the first half. Our defense then left, and our offense also left in the, not counting that Hail Mary that was a tip drill that the Commanders, failed. Besides that, like, this is what annoys me about the refs. First, Russ fumbled the ball. But you know why he fumbled the ball? Because the defender was on the face mask and rubbed his hand all the way down the front of his helmet and down into the ball. That is a penalty. Why we do not have some sort of challenge penalty review type thing thing, because that's all it should be. It's like, we're not gonna challenge everything. You only get the 2 challenges. You get an extra challenge if you're successful. Yeah, maybe we should also have some kind of review. Keep it also in the whole 2 minutes, or at least, especially if it's a play like the Miami one or the Patriots one with Strange, or at the end of this game after the Hail Mary was successful, there was offensive pass interference.
You mean
or defensive pass interference with the Commanders on Cortland Sutton, and there was also some on P. Ryan too. Like
they called defensive pass interference for less egregious penalties in the Dolphins Patriots game. It was less egregious in there than it was how egregious it was on the end of the 2-point conversion.
Well, and that's the thing. I feel like you get different. Like, I know it's a man-made thing, but maybe it's like you see with human eyes. It's human error. But maybe if we're having some people from like New York or the ones watching it, maybe we can actually go back and be like, well, that is a penalty. Like, that is a penalty. Maybe we can call that. Like, it's a little late, but yeah, it should still be called.
I mean, if the broadcast teams, who always have a rules analyst who's like a former referee there, say it should be a penalty, then maybe you should go with them.
I mean, yeah, that there should there are some just clear and obvious ones that don't get called, and it's frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I did not like how the Broncos played in the second half. We gave up an 18-point lead between, like, I think the end of the second half and the beginning and the end of the first half and the beginning of the second half. They went 100% in the red zone for touchdowns. So what's our defense doing? It's a Vance Joseph defense. You know what? You kind of made a career resurgence when you were doing the Cardinals. Like, you had some really good defense there. So what's wrong, Vance Joseph? Like,
either you don't have quite the amount of talent, or as like the Cardinals did back when he was the defensive coordinator, or he wasn't really that great with the Cardinals and they just kind of swept it under the rug.
I guess so, because Vance Joseph, you got Justin Simmons. He's on the level of Buda Baker. You got Patrick Surtain II, a higher level, than any other, one of the highest cornerbacks, one of the greatest right now. So I don't know what the problem is, because we're letting offenses just, like, especially Washington. Now, Washington has a good offense, and I will get into the praise of the Commanders here in a moment, but it's just like the defense really let us down as much as, if not more than they did. The defense let us down, as a Broncos fan, way more than the offense, because we needed to run a little bit more, and there needed to be a little bit better as far as Russ and stuff did, and we'll soon know by the bye week. I'm giving the bye week if Russ is going to still start for us, because there's got to be something that gives. And penalties is another thing that's on Sean Payton. And I mean, I'm not looking for a first-year miracle workaround where, I said that we could be in the playoffs. I'm gonna have some home bias. Honestly, being 0-2 is probably the worst of the things, because I really could have seen us beating the Raiders and losing the Commanders. Because I'll get into the Commanders, but is there anything else you want to say about Denver?
Well, what I was going to say was that the whole thing about Vance Joseph was that maybe the defense was better because they had J.J. Watt, and he was the leader on defense, helping the others play better, more than maybe Vance Joseph's defensive calling, and that might have made up for his shortcomings.
True,
but still, the defense still, giving up the leads. Like, I think did you have a lead in the Raiders game, or
we did have a lead for a little bit there? Yeah.
I mean, sure, the offense needs to play better and score more, but if the defense plays better, they shouldn't catch up at all. Like, saying just like the Dolphins, because like both our teams did not play well defensively and made in these games were closer or got out of hand that they shouldn't have, because our defenses played bad.
Yeah.
And we play against each other this next coming week, so we're going to see a mirror match here or something.
Right, because there was definitely a lot less points for both of our teams scored in the second half. So it's going to be, it really is going to be an interesting one. And the big thing is, I think my team absolutely needs to win more, but we'll talk about that on another podcast.
Yeah,
but that can really drive it. That can really drive a team to to get over that hump. That being said, if we're good on Denver,
I just want to say you do at least you at least have offensive weapons coming up. That Mims and Brandon Johnson both look good.
Brandon Johnson, like he looked good, but Marvin Mims, that's who I was going to talk about before we went to Washington. Oh man, he looks great. So I feel like he might be a steal if he can keep developing. I know Jerry Jeudy's coming off the injury, so like I just hope everybody can kind of get on the same page. But Marvin Mims, you're looking fabulous right now. You're looking fantastic. You're looking like you should have been a first rounder, and you were a steal in the second round.
Right. I think your offense is looking like you have the weapons. It's just needing to use them right.
Right. We'll talk about other steals that could have been higher later because there's a special wide receiver in a different game. That being said, Washington. I know I said that I thought you could lose this game when I was doing my predictions, but I easily knew you could go 2-0. I'm actually really happy and impressed by you guys. Only thing I hate was the and I blame the refs. Like I have no ill will towards like, so Washington, we should have. No. You guys played really good. You got great coaches, and I feel like everybody that's underestimating you is kind of being like, I think they're kind of underestimated like the Browns right now.
Oh, I think that's because first of all, even though they're tied with two of the other teams in their division, they are like people think of them as the third best team in that division, and 3 out of 4 doesn't mean you're exactly the best, which is they're with the Eagles and with the Cowboys, and those two teams, the Cowboys are looking dominant. I honestly think it's just like I feel that they didn't come in that yes they won the Cardinals, but it felt like with the Cardinals coming out the tank, like the Cardinals are playing better than we originally thought.
We'll get to
the Cardinals, but Washington should have we were thinking Washington was going to stomp them, and since they didn't, the estimations are there. But they have a quarterback with Sam Howell who is 3-0 right now with starts. He hasn't lost a game yet since he started last season. Eric Bieniemy seems to really be a missing piece with how the Chiefs' offense has been almost
you're not wrong on that. And Brian Robinson was looking really good.
I am sad I did not take Brian Robinson in fantasy. I had him last year, so,
right?
But the Commanders' offense is looking great. Maybe they just woke up in the second half. Maybe they wake up in the second half, and that they're hard to stop. Was it really your defense played badly, or was it their offense out-schemed you? Is both true.
Right. Well, we need to make better second-time adjustments and maybe some on-the-fly adjustments against the Dolphins. But that being said, I think, are we good with these teams? Because man, Washington, I'm feeling hopeful about. So.
They play the Bills this week, and so I hope they bring that same energy.
That should be a really good game that we will not be able to watch because we are going to be focusing on one game and one game only. We might have to peek in on the red zone on the other TV or something.
We'll peek in during commercials.
Yeah. That's going to be an exciting game. So with that being said, these next couple we'll do kind of a quickie ones. Cowboys look good against the Jets.
Cowboys defense looking like what the Jets defense said they were, like the 85 Bears or something like that.
Right. Two games, 10 points they've given up.
They've outscored them outscored opponents 70 to 10.
They've outscored the state of New Jersey 70 to 10. That being said,
go Cowboys! We're buying in with the Kool-Aid of the defense.
Oh, you know, every year I get a little more Kool-Aid, and I'm feeling the Kool-Aid this season right now. But I'm giving them. They are one of the few. The defense is getting my honk of approval. Honk honk. Michael Parsons is looking amazing, and honestly, if he keeps going the way he's going, he could actually win the MVP, not just Defensive Player of the Year. I would love to see that.
Anything but a quarterback, or just make top top quarterback award, because that's really what we should just get.
Pretty much. Or at least call it the offensive player, most value. I don't know why there would be a difference between defensive and offensive player of the year, but MVP is more than a quarterback.
That is a podcast topic for a different time.
It is. Jets, Zach Wilson just isn't it. Maybe it really is time.
Wait. Is it really Zach Wilson, or is Nathaniel Hackett's offense hard for anyone to succeed in?
Except for Aaron Rodgers? The answer is both.
Right.
Both can be right.
Because we don't know if Aaron Rodgers would have won that game.
You're not wrong. Now, I think give him one more week. I don't know who does the Jets play? The Patriots.
Patriots.
Right?
I think this is going to be the Patriots' first win.
I think so too, but you gotta see if Zach Wilson can do anything better this week. If not, I think it's time to Jameis Winston to maybe
Carson
get trade
Wentz.
for Andy Dalton. Colt McCoy and Carson Wentz, I think, are both free agents right now. Anybody could be better. It's Zach Wilson it's like Sam Darnold didn't look like a starter, but he looks like he could at least play the ball. Zach Wilson doesn't look like that. Zach Wilson.
Sam Darnold would be better for them right now, even.
Go trade for him or Trey Lance. I mean, I don't know. Can you do worse? I don't think you can do worse than Zach Wilson right now in the long run.
Yeah, Zach Wilson was not meant to start like this. He was meant to learn under Aaron Rodgers and develop better, and he did not get that time.
Yeah.
So he's still unpolished like he is, and I really think they're going to move on quicker with the losses. And besides, it's like Nathaniel Hackett's offense. They haven't scored more than 16 points in the regulars during a regular game. In regulation games, they needed
the offense hasn't scored.
The offense they got 22 because of a special teams one in overtime.
Yeah. Now, with that being said, I also want to say two special shout outs. Tony Pollard, you are looking fantastic, like I knew you would be. And Mike McCarthy could win Coach of the Year if he just calling plays, looking good, making Dak look good. He's doing right now, which I guess we could lead in. We can just jump over some places and go to the Chargers. They lost another game by 1 point, one score game.
It was in
overtime.
It was in overtime, but still they
gave up an 11-point lead.
Mm-hmm. The Titans cleaned up their mistakes, but Kellen Moore is seeming like he was the big issue in Dallas last season, because now all their troubles are now being brought to the Chargers.
Yeah. And I can't really. I mean, Derrick Henry looked good. Everybody else looked good. Titans wanted to come back and win that game. I'm actually really proud of them. Chargers 0-2, just like the Broncos, like many other teams. I think it's too early to say this team is done. Any of these teams that are done that are 0-2, except for maybe the Cardinals.
They
for the playoffs.
We predicted the Cardinals would probably be 0-2, but they look much better than we predicted they would.
They might get a few more wins. Honestly, I think they might get more than. They'll get a win here soon. They should have got 2 wins by now, but that's neither here nor there. The Charger, I really just don't want to focus too much on the Chargers, but we're not going to be surprised if there's the new coach in with the Chargers next season. I think that was a very likelihood when we were talking about predictions and stuff. I think that I'm not seeing that defense. Should Kellen Moore and the offense be doing a little bit more? Yeah, they could be running the ball. They should be running the ball, but to run the ball, they need to have a little bit more of a lead. So that defense is not helping them and doing them any favors. And they have a stacked defense.
Their defense should not have been as easy as it was to score that many points on in either of the 2 games.
Right? Don't they have they have Joey Bosa, Derwin James, J.C. Jackson,
Khalil Mack.
I mean, that should be getting it done like how the Rams did. That's how this
but
team
they got
should be feeling.
36 and 27 points scored on them. That is their defense is not being used correctly, and Brandon Staley is a defensive coach. They just really haven't recovered from the playoff game, I think.
I know he said today that's the reporters, the journalism, that's the story that they're spinning. But sometimes we have hangovers from a bad, devastating loss. That's literally what the Broncos are trying to. They've had really bad seasons. We're trying to get that stink away. It does not happen overnight. It doesn't happen with just one game or two games. That's what's going on here, and they need need to refocus.
I think they have a tough schedule coming up, but we'll see if they can.
Right. With that said, I think we can jump over. I know we were talking earlier about the Cardinals.
Might as well just. We've talked about them a lot in these last few segments.
They've looked good going 0-2.
Right, they are a much better 0-2 team than we imagined them. We imagined them going out like the Giants the first, like scoring nothing the first week, like the Giants, or maybe like the Jets, like scoring 10. But they had a lead. They were like 20. They were leading 20-0 at the half in this game. I mean, they lost by 3, but still, this team is playing way better than a team that seemingly was losing. And maybe they picked up Joshua Dobbs because he was an actual better quarterback than what they had.
They might have. I will say, well, it sucks that they had. I mean, it sucks because, like, just like the Broncos, they had a 21-point lead. I think that they had, and that they were up 28-7. But the Cardinals, well, both teams. I heard that Buda Baker went on IR.
Oh, and they're in trouble then,
right? And Saquon, yeah, the Giants came back, but Saquon got hurt at the end of that game, and it's not a high ankle sprain; it's just an ankle sprain. But he'll be out a few weeks, and that sucks.
The Giants have a tough schedule up ahead.
They play the 49ers next on Thursday night, so
they play. Their schedule stuff. I think it's the 49ers, Seahawks and Dolphins within that schedule.
Ow. At least they got the win this week. So
yeah, they got the win. I mean, they scored points, so that they scored 31 points, so that was good. That made up for nothing they scored against the Cowboys.
Yes.
I think Daniel Jones, I think they just bounced back. They had a rough week. They didn't expect Dallas to come out of the gate rushing at full steam. I think they just they made up for the issues they had, and that they're going to get better. Week one for some teams they're ready for it, and other teams it's still like an extra preseason game for, and that's why when it comes to that's when the regular season keeps going into this next month, and middle of it teams start becoming who they truly are.
Yep, I agree with that. Like I said, some teams we just don't really want to talk about. It's they just had some ugly wins or just ugly games, or there was just only so much we can talk about. But this next team, the next game I've got is the that was actually really good was the Rams and the 49ers. The wide receiver I mentioned earlier, Puka. Oh my God, he's breaking records set by I think Jerry Rice and some other people.
Right.
He's talking about a steal in whatever round that they got him in, and this is exactly what I said. My problem that if Sean McVay could do, the Rams can be dangerous, and they're looking dangerous, was to develop the talent. And he's doing exactly what I was hoping. So I'm actually really happy with the Rams right now.
I mean, at this rate, I feel like they could trade Cooper Kupp with how everyone else has been doing. I mean,
right? I mean, well, Cooper has to not be injured for that to happen. But
I mean, right? They get Cooper back and stuff, and they're going to be when Cooper gets back. I think they'll be even more dangerous because if Puka's doing so well and Tutu Atwell's doing so well, and you have Cooper on top of that, you're going to have and even more fantastic receivers. I know they lost the game, but the 49ers are one of the best teams in the league.
Right? I mean, their defense, it was just a good game. It was a good game, but I mean, the 49ers still got Brock Purdy, who's undefeated in the regular season, or if he's undefeated if he doesn't get injured too. So
gotta love that. Gotta love that stat when they start and finish a game. That stat was never mentioned before last year.
Right? But it's an important stat because it's if the quarterback is a starting quarterback, but that means a starting and finishing quarterback. That really should matter. Because the game changes when you don't have your top players. And Brock Purdy's looking good. Both teams looked great. I can't wait to see the matchup again.
Right.
Defense just the defense for the 49ers got some takeaways that were important.
The NFC West, in general, is looking the bottom two teams of the West are looking better than we we imagined in the predictions one, because the Rams and the Cardinals are like both looking much better than we expected, and the Rams are just like Sean McVay I feel has turned it around. I know they're 1-1, but I feel they're going to be a lot better than we both predicted and a lot better than last year.
Right. I think the Rams, well, especially if they get another win against the Seahawks, the Rams could make a good wild card instead. They might be a wild card team depending on how if they keep improving. So not counting them out. 49ers still look like one of the best teams in the NFC as well as the whole NFL.
Mm-hmm. They are one of two teams that are 2-0 and both 2-0 and the two games were on the road. So
that's true. To go the 49ers. Yeah,
they're one of two teams that I know that have won both.
The Dolphins being the others. Yeah. So as I was gonna say, like the Rams going on, like it felt like a Rams home visiting game with the way that the stadium was filled out. But like I was like, the Rams still played tough, even if they, even if the 49ers fans invaded. Let's go on to another close game. Falcons and Packers. That was a really close game, and both offenses looked really good.
Both teams, like these were two teams that we both thought were going to be really good this season, and both teams basically it was a 1 point differential, and both these teams I think are going to be hot this season.
Right. Well, and when we say both, I mean you had the Falcons on top of the South. I had the Packers on top of the North, and 1 point game towards the end, like that. You don't get much closer than that. And Jordan Love looked again good. Three touchdowns. I mean the run game for the Falcons is what really
they're running it down your throat, and they're just being successful, and they have and Bijan is all that and a bag of chips.
And even Desmond Ridder is looking like he was running the ball. He was making sure to get those first downs. So I can't wait to see the next Falcons game. Like that's gonna. I hope they play in prime time. I hope they can show off what they got. I can't wait for the next Packers game. I'm just excited to watch these teams again.
Mac Hollins looked good for the Falcons.
He did, but he always looked good as like that second, third wide receiver.
He did good for Miami. He was good on the Raiders. I'm happy he's on the Falcons now instead of the Raiders, because like I like the Falcons better than the Raiders.
Falcons are a team that I've always, except for when they played the Broncos, I always wanted them to like win it. Like I love like their team. I love like one of those like top teams that you love. I love them in their own way. I want to see them win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, like what was it? They played Miami in preseason. They looked really good, and I'm glad that's translating to the regular season.
And just remember, that's the thing. Even though Arthur Smith didn't look good the first 2 years, the culture was setting in. He's got the team how he wants it. Maybe he trades Kyle Pitts for some, value for later, but everybody else is looking really good. So
right, like everyone is, they're just looking pretty good. I don't know. I guess there's magic in his mustache.
I guess so. Maybe it's the Andy Reid effect.
Right.
He does kind of have that like Andy Reid Jr. kind of vibe right now. But other than that, I'm liking both teams, Packers, Falcons. I hope we're going to see it again in the playoffs.
I mean, the Packers might have had more if Aaron Jones wasn't hurt, like if Aaron Jones actually played, but still only losing by 1 point. You played a tough game, so right? I think they'll keep going forward, and like you said, it might be a playoff game.
Man, where to move on to now? I guess we'll go to not as good of a game, and we don't have to talk about it too much, but the Bills-Raiders. The Bills look like what they should have been.
The Bills destroyed the Raiders. That's how we thought the Bills were going to be, and that's how we thought the Raiders were going to be. So, like, that was just felt like the universe correcting itself.
Honestly, yeah, it really did feel like the universe correcting itself. Josh Allen looked fine and composed, and as long as he can keep doing that and not trying to hurdle over opponents, we're good.
Yeah, right. And, well, I mean, when your top receiver goes down for the Raiders with a concussion, and you already had your other good receiver down with a concussion, you're not going to be left with much.
Right? All the best to everybody who got a concussion. I know I forgot to mention it, but Jalen Waddle.
Oh, yeah.
Well, hopefully everybody heals up. I don't know if they're going to play this coming week because, concussion should be taken a little more seriously. We'll see how that goes.
It depends on how bad you're hurt. You can be recovered pretty soon, or you might be out for 3 weeks. So we hope for the best for all of them.
Yep. Last thing with that is the Raiders are still technically on top of the AFC West because they do have the divisional win against the Broncos. oi. Still weird to say. I don't think that's going to be the case next week. So, because moving on, we'll talk about those teams that play each other, because the Chiefs played the Bears next week, and we'll talk about the Chiefs versus the Jaguars first. Really defensive game, kind of a people want to say, I guess, boring slobber knocker. Like, it didn't really get good until like the second half. And honestly, when you look at the score, 19 points is 3 field goals, 17 points is 2 touchdowns, and a field goal. I mean, they were really close. It's like the defense just played a little bit better. The Jaguars need to get a little bit better, because that could have been a win for them if they could get into the end zone.
Randomly, with arguably the best quarterback in the league, with Patrick Mahomes, they have one of the best defenses in the league this year, and that's why I think Eric Bieniemy might have been a key piece to their offensive success, because now they're winning they won this game with defense. They only scored 17 points. They only scored 20 points the first week, then they only scored 17 points here. That's not normal for the Chiefs.
No. And the big important thing that we got to remember is not just the Chiefs. The Chiefs defense is looking great, but this league's looking a little defensive this year, and I'm loving it.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what happens as the league, season keeps going. But
Jaguars the Jaguars defense, I think, did pretty well to hold them to 17 points with Kelsey back. And I mean, they had Kelsey and Chris Jones back this time. And yeah, they won the game defensively, but they only, with their best offensive weapon, they still only scored 17 points. Is a little concerning.
A little bit. You can't, I mean, even if you're a Chiefs fan, I think you got to be like, whew. But I mean, I don't know if they would have got the 17 points if Kelsey was still hurt, or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's really important, because those wide receivers are not getting the job done yet.
Sky Moore looked like he picked up. I saw like one of the good plays that helped the Chiefs was from Sky Moore. So they are getting there. It's just, this is just unusually low for the Chiefs.
Right now, let's because we don't want to talk too long into some of these games.
Yeah,
like,
the Jaguars just need to play better offensively.
Yeah.
They almost had it at the end there, but so.
Yeah. Now, meanwhile, not too soon to say he's an MVP, but if we're calling Tua an MVP candidate, Baker's looking really good. No turnovers. I don't think he even had a fumble. He's just looking good. He's got like 3 touchdowns in like 2 games. No turnovers. He's got stats comparable to Tua and less interceptions.
I mean, Baker, both the Buccaneers and the Dolphins are like stacked on offense. You have 2 of the best wide receivers, and Rachaad White's looking fantastic too as a running back. So he has a lot of weapons, and when you put a good quarterback surrounded by great stuff, you get magic happens.
Yeah, Baker's looking like Baker. So I'm hoping that continues. I like the Buccaneers. I like Baker Mayfield. Tom Brady didn't look great last season, but it doesn't mean that the rest of the team couldn't. This team could win the division again.
I think with both Baker and Tua, like, we don't know how well legitimately, because the 2 teams they both played are both 0-2 now. So we don't know, but they were both tough wins for both the Buccaneers and the Dolphins.
Well, I mean, it's like Washington too.
And Washington as well. We don't know how weak the teams they won actually are or not.
The same thing like we said the other, like the Eagles need to look a little bit better, but they're 2-0, so you can only win.
You can only win who you play. You play who you play. You win who you win.
Yep,
exactly. But the Bucks look great.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We gotta see if the Bucks can continue this, and if they can, I can't wait for some of their divisional rivals, like Bucks Falcons should be a good one.
Be fair, like the Bears, they legitimately look like the weakest team, the weakest 0-2 team. That I don't know how they are supposed to come back and get some wins here.
I don't know either. Like, I know I said that they play the Chiefs and then they play the Broncos, and the Broncos are 0-2. Both teams could be 0-3 when the Broncos and the Bears play, and as long as we could stop the run, like, I'm not too. I feel like we can get them. The defense will be good. Like, I hope so.
It's just, I don't know. I haven't didn't really watch that. Like, I don't know where the Bears' problems lie besides like Justin Fields. Like, I know he could run, but is he I know the wide receivers were doing a bit better, but I don't know if they're just getting it done.
Justin Fields looked better from what I saw some highlights. I saw some of it. He looked better. DJ Moore, that connection is getting better, but outside of that, I'm not seeing what else.
I don't think they have anything on defense since they traded away those pieces.
Right, they're not looking like that defensive team, and Chase Claypool even came alive too. So like he was definitely forgotten and not really liked, unless I know he got some hate last week after the game, I heard, but it's like at least, hey, you know what? It's like the thing. It's like if they can build upon it, we'll see Matt Eberflus come around. We'll see how long the Justin Fields thing goes. That's
I really think like it shouldn't be blamed on the quarterback for the struggles at defense.
True. I did hear something about like CJ Stroud already has in his 2 games more 300-yard games than Justin Fields. I know that yards don't necessarily matter as much wins, but it's still it's like we'll talk about the Texans here.
I mean, if they're both not winning, it's kind of like he's doing better as quarterback, but you're still both having trouble. Both teams are having trouble,
right? Just good luck to the Bears next week. Maybe you'll be like the Colts and surprise the Chiefs,
right? Be the the losing team gets one random win against one of the super goods,
right? Well, I mean they're the champions. I wouldn't say that they don't feel like a super good team just yet, the Chiefs, but it's early. They always don't feel like this. It's even like the Patriots when they were good. So any good team doesn't necessarily feel good right away. So we'll give it a little bit. And can't wait to see the Buccaneers again next week. If I can watch that game, not counting our game. Now we got a game of rookie quarterbacks, the Colts and the Texans. I forget which one I had this predicted, but I mean, it was week 2, so one rookie had to win, and
it's unfortunate that one rookie didn't stay in the entire game.
Right. Anthony Richardson needs to play a little bit safer to stay healthy and be in the league because he's exciting to watch.
He needs to reach out to Tua and just like get his jiu-jitsu trainer's number or get into that, like learn how to fall better, because this is like everything I heard with Tua. Just again, like you need to learn how to slide, you need to fall better, like and it's concussion issues. It's like history repeating itself again.
Right. So. I was even going to compare him a little bit to Cam Newton. Like look how fast his career like went down. Like we want you to stay healthy so you could have a long career.
I mean, on the bright side, he turned himself into the tent about the concussion.
That is good. We don't want to see. I mean, I'm glad it was just a concussion. Not to say it's just a concussion, but I'm glad it wasn't a serious like oh no, he messed up his leg. Like he'll hopefully be back in the next couple weeks. It's not as a serious. It's not. And he can just get better from that, because it was a whack. He hit his. It was not. He fell awkwardly, so it's like you gotta learn. He'll learn from this. And Minshew might play next week, but you know what? The Texans played really good too. I mean, Nico Collins is making a name.
A lot of the wide receivers are doing very well for the Texans and how they did. The running backs are the running game's not doing as well, but with over 300 yards passing, CJ Stroud's getting that
right. Like some fantasy lookups if you need some extra help. You got some Texans to play, but we'll see, because I mean that was against the Colts, and
their defense is what struggled, because they lost 31-20, I think it was something like that.
Yeah, they did.
And like offensively, the Colts are looking pretty good even without Jonathan Taylor.
They are. So Zach Moss, I picked him up for my fantasy team. I wish I started him. I would probably be a lot closer in the game that me and John are in this week. But I should have started him.
There was a lot of running backs that are on the bench that should have been started, like Rashad White and DeAndre Swift for me.
Let us know if you'd like to hear a fantasy football podcast from us, because we could do an episode maybe Wednesday or something, or Thursday. But that being said, these rookies look really good. We got Bryce Young tonight too, so we'll see some more rookie quarterbacking action.
Anthony Richardson technically was the first one to get a win, even if he didn't fully play it. But
right, he got a lot of the points. He earned that win still. So that being said, we got a couple more games left. These last two were pretty were more exciting than some of the others, but like the Bengals, not the Bengals. Let's start. You know what? Let's start with the Bengals and the Ravens.
The Ravens are looking good and better than they did with Greg Roman as the offense coordinator.
Right? They're not looking great on defense just yet. So when you think Ravens, you think defense. So
they're looking better offensively, but yeah, defensive struggles for the Ravens is an abnormality.
Right? Maybe it's it's just early, but we'll see. Like, I mean, obviously, Lamar and playing better. I know OBJ went down with an injury, so we'll see. But he wasn't. I feel like they were working really well around. Like the offense was playing good. So we'll see if that continues and see how well that gets when we get to a better. I don't want to say the Bengals are a bad team. They're just an unhealthy team right now.
Well, they need to also get through the season staying healthy, because first game they lose J.K. Dobbins, now OBJ goes down. They can't lose a weapon a game,
right? Because eventually you just, I mean, yeah.
I mean, Lamar, they can win if Lamar stays healthy, but Lamar needs weapons to throw to.
You're right. The Bengals, sounds like Joe Burrow hurt himself. The calf is strained again, aggravated. Yeah. I don't know where T. Higgins, at least we got a lot of points.
Made up for his fantasy score of 0 last week.
Right, but Jamar Chase, I don't know.
He wasn't. They couldn't get him involved, and maybe they were better defensively. Like, they stopped their best weapon, but that's why T. Higgins is another great wide receiver. But if Joe Burrow is unhealthy, like they've been saying, like calf injuries leads to Achilles injuries. Like, you don't want Joe Burrow going down like Aaron Rodgers, because I don't know if your quarterbacks can. You're already down 0-2 in the division. You're at the worst positioning right now of an 0-2 team, because you lost to 2 divisional opponents. So it's hard to bet. I mean, I believe that if Joe Burrow can get healthy, they can bounce back and get back in there. But they're in a very difficult position to do it without Joe Burrow.
I mean, it's a lot. I feel like it's too early to say, 0-2 teams. Like, it's a long season.
Yeah,
it's a long season for Broncos, Chargers, Patriots, Vikings. You got some time. Like, it's not over and done with just going 0-2. That being said, and the Bengals, like, just get healthy, because I could see, if not, are you going to be the one that trades for like a Kirk Cousins or a Ryan Tannehill just to try and save your season? They might, if you don't get Joe Burrow healthy.
Right? I mean, you have enough weapons that you have plenty of weapons that if you could get another quarterback that can play well in the system, you can get some more wins till Joe Burrow gets healthy.
Yep. Other than that, Seahawks and Lions.
Intriguing about, it's nice to see the Seahawks bounce back, but I'm surprised the Lions didn't put up more of a fight defensively.
Well, they've said the last 2 games, this is kind of a weird rivalry. They're high-scoring teams against each other.
Yeah.
They usually put 50 or 60 points together in each game. I mean, this one totaled out to 68 points. So I think that was one of their highest scoring, if not the highest scoring games that they played against each other in the last 3 years. Because I guess they end up in the same position or something. I forget how that, because usually have to be the third place in the division plays the third place in the division. So they were second, and I think they were both the second place team in the division. So that's how they wound up playing each other, I guess 3 years in a row. It just happens to be. And I know few years you cycle through the whole division.
Yeah.
But that being said, I forget which one it is this season. It was an offensive slobber knocker. I do like the word slobber knocker. So yeah, this game was definitely one of the best games of the week. There's a lot of offense, some good defense too. You got Jared Goff getting picked off for the first time in 380 some odd passes.
That disappointed me. I wanted him to beat Brady.
Right. That being said, this might go down as it was just it gets a hunk of approval from me. It was a good game.
Yeah, it's also a key game because the two of them, because they might be playoff teams, and that game could also edge out one of them above the other.
Like it did last season?
Exactly. So that hurts the Lions, but still the Lions did beat Chiefs. So I mean,
right? That is part of why it got the hunk of approval, because it could have some playoff implications later on. There was just a lot of scoring. Both teams were looking good. I think they took back and forth the lead sometimes, and
well, I know Amon-Ra St. Brown got hurt a little bit, which might have actually be a reason why they didn't score for that little period till he came back. But still, I think they got Tyler Lockett involved in Seattle. He scored more than he did did last week, and I think that definitely helped.
Josh Reynolds looked good for
Josh
for the
Reynolds is
Lions.
looking great
But
for the Lions.
DK Metcalf, I think, got a little banged up too. So it was just a wild game, and that's kind of like if I could, if they re-air it on the NFL Network, I think it's going to be one of those ones I just turn on to actually kind of catch the whole thing.
They are similar teams. They
very much are
teams. So
like I think it's like we talk about that Dan Campbell, like cojones, like he's got that energy. Like Pete Carroll got that energy too. He just like I think twice the age of Dan Campbell or something like that. I don't know how old Dan Campbell is, but he's just older than that. But they both good coaches. They both got great energy. So I hope we see it again in the playoffs. With that said, we'll just touch a little bit more. We kind of talked about it on our last podcast, but to round up week before Monday night, we talked about Monday Night Football. Just to go back to the Eagles and the Vikings. Man, those turnovers really killed the Vikings. Seeing the rest of these games, it's like, yeah, you got to play the full game because. I mean, that's why the Eagles are 2-0. I'm waiting to see when if they play the 49ers, because I think they play the 49ers, the Eagles.
I think so.
They should, because I know Dallas was second in the division. They play 49ers, so
I think they're playing the West then.
Yeah, and then we'll and I know that they play the Chiefs. The Dolphins, so they've got some really tough teams coming up, and they're not. I don't know if they're gonna.
I just have to say, I love hearing the words they play the Dolphins and tough team next to each other because it's been years since the Dolphins have been considered a tough team,
right? But they've had a couple one score games, and we knocked that on the Vikings last season. So like I want to see and honestly, it's happening a lot more this season. So we'll see what happens with a lot of the rest of these teams. But the Eagles won. That's what matters. The Vikings, they need to not turn over the ball. They have the most turnovers, I think, in the whole league. The Vikings could easily be 2-0. So that's pretty much it from me on that, because I just need a quick little recap.
Yeah, the Eagles just need to play better. I feel like Minnesota just needs to stop turnovers, and Philadelphia needs to actually not look like they might lose these games at the end,
right? And if they keep going like they're going, instead of being son and done, they'll be none and done, or son and none, whichever one you like. But yeah, they're gonna not get any wins. None wins. if they can't control these turnovers and stuff, like all those 1 point or 1 score differential games, all those they're gonna be losses this season. So anything else to cover before we get into Monday Night Football?
Just wanting to say Philly's next game is going to be a tough test because both teams are 2-0. That is who the Buccaneers play.
Oh, that should be a fun game. Might have to flip that on while we're watching our unless it's on in the afternoon, but we'll have to flip that on at some point during next weekend.
Right.
All right. Now with that, we'll go on to Monday Night Football. We got the Browns and the Steelers in one game, but first it was the Saints and the Panthers with Bryce Young versus Derek Carr. Tried watching both games at the same time, flipping through the channels. Both good games. Both very devastating injuries. A lot more to Nick Chubb, but Nick Chubb injury was devastating.
And that's even putting it lightly. I feel. I don't think there's words to describe.
Gruesome and Mortal Kombat-esque. That was probably the best ways to describe it.
Yeah, I've seen that in Mortal Kombat's gameplay. Don't want to see it in real life.
Right. That being said, I mean the running back position, Jamal Williams also went out but just a hamstring injury. But still affected your fantasy football play.
It definitely affected us, as those two were running back of each of ours.
Right. John had the victory today, but let's just say backup running back is first of all, running backs in general do not get paid enough for what they go through, and the fact that Jerome Ford and Tony Jones Jr.
Yeah,
both of them played fantastic as the backup running back to take, basically became RB1. Ford, boy, he was doing some amazing stuff, and Tony Jones Jr. he was just getting into the end zone when he had to. But let's just focus on the Saints and the Panthers.
Very
defense
defensive.
On the Panthers played fantastic.
Yeah, very defensive game. There was not a lot of points scored.
Right. right? It was 20-17. Good game. Derek Carr, like them and the receivers got to get a little bit more on the same page. But Rashid Shaheed and Chris Olave looked like they were picking up a lot of the momentum.
I think
I know that I felt like Derek was trying to force the ball to Michael Thomas
Yeah,
a little too much.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That he really tried to force Michael Thomas the ball a little too much. Michael Thomas like isn't the same type of caliber player that he used to be. Like in a sense, like we haven't gotten that feeling from him. It's like it's not like he went from supposedly one of the top receivers in the league to what is he is the question.
I
And
was gonna say virtually an unknown at this, right now.
And Olave and Shaheed are like the bigger targets, I feel.
Well, especially when you've got like Taysom Hill out there and Foster Moreau.
They have like three tight ends: Foster Moreau, Juwan Johnson, and Jimmy Graham.
Right.
So.
Well, and Taysom Hill.
Taysom and
everything, but
yeah.
So you got a lot of you got a lot of pass catchers, but their defense played well. Wasn't a whole bunch of huge highlights, but Bryce Young, he was actually like the first quarterback to first number one QB to get a home game on Monday Night Football after all of these years. So that's actually really cool.
That was. I think Bryce played well. I think he just obviously just made some rookie mistakes, and that he'll get better as time develops.
All right. I think all of them have some potential to really develop. As long, they got. I feel like each of them has a good coaching staff. Just talking about all the head coach rookie for the rookies, and they have every possibility to really learn the professional game in their first year and take good leaps next year.
As long as the owner of the Colts doesn't mess up Anthony Richardson.
Yes.
By messing up the team.
Yes. That being said, good job, Saints. And anything else to add to that, Saints or Panthers?
They both played well. I think they both are built well, and I really don't want to play against I wouldn't want to play against Carolina's defense with how tough they are, but that's going to happen for the Dolphins.
Right. That will be a tough game with that defense.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I think Cleveland Steelers. The Browns put up great offensive numbers, but they couldn't get the win because they turned it over and got a fumble and a pick six. Both the interception fumble on the defense touchdowns. They got 2 defensive touchdowns. It looks like it's only happened 2 other times on Monday Night Football in the last 15 years, and it's just
well, the Steelers defense is just brutal,
right? Most importantly, Steelers defense was just amazing tonight. Cleveland's defense was also great tonight. It was just
I think
they got the defensive scores. That's really what won them the game.
I think there was a few more injuries because I think Denzel Ward got hurt and Minka Fitzpatrick got hurt, and there was I know they love to play each other physically. They might have played a little too physically this
right.
week.
That also being said, just heard that Nick Chubb is out for the season with a significant knee injury, and that's not even surprising.
That's not. If you watch the video of it, don't, unless you like that type of thing. Don't. You could clearly tell he was out for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
There is
just speculation on my end. Just from I didn't see it from the brutal angle. I only saw a picture while surfing social media, and if I had any thought in my head about how he might be back next season. It won't be. I don't think it's going to be by week 1. I really don't. I feel horrible saying that, but it looked that bad, and it absolutely sucks because he was arguably the best running back in the game. I could say he was better than Saquon and Josh Jacobs and Christian McCaffrey, but part of it was because he sadly didn't get injured until now. But he was just so powerful and fast, and
I mean
he
that's
was
why
like Derrick Henry, basically. I think those were like top 2.
He was basically. I won't even care about the matchup. I plan to stream him like every freaking game of fantasy because of this, and now I'm screwed. Now I'm down another running back when I felt like I have 3 solid running backs, but I had 4 solid running backs. Now I only have 3.
Right. I mean, fantasy aside, he was. I mean, I get it. Like fantasy.
I mean, as a human being,
right?
Get well soon.
But I mean, on the fantasy perspective of it, he was that great of a running back.
Yeah.
You never had to very rarely had to worry about, is he gonna get me points? He
Mhm.
was always gonna get you points, and it's just heartbreaking.
Yeah. Especially for how good Cleveland was, how people thought Cleveland was were
Right,
going to
like
do.
after that week one, like I know the Bengals were part of the whole thing with the injury and stuff, but like I mean the Joe Burrow coming back from injury and not looking 100. It's like I thought that there was it just looked like they looked really good. Now I think they can still come back and pull themselves together as long as they don't get too many.
I don't. Whoever stays the healthiest in the AFC North will win it, because we talked about all the injuries today for the Steelers, all the injuries for the Browns. Joe Burrow seems hurt, and they lost, and they've been losing a weapon a game, the Ravens. So,
right, so it's definitely anybody's division.
Mhm.
It sucks. But like let's talk about a bit of the game.
Mhm.
David Njoku looked good. Deshaun Watson looked good. I mean, you don't get like 400, offensive yards, if I'm not mistaken, and something like that. Without looking like, you got some playmakers.
Jerome Ford looks like a solid backup. He made
Mhm.
some very good runs, like we
And
mentioned.
Amari Cooper was out, I think, right?
No, Amari Cooper actually made some
Oh, he
catches.
did?
He wasn't.
Okay.
He really wasn't mentioned, but he did play.
Good.
Najee Harris, I think, had a really good run too.
Right, I mean,
And
that was-
George Pickens had the
Oh my
very
God,
long
George
touchdown.
Pickens, that was fantastic. That was something else. I mean, hopefully they can build upon that in the offense. But the Steelers defense, like usual, wins them this game, because that offense, maybe I hope it's coming together. But at least everybody's within a game realistically, except for the Bengals. They're at the bottom, but they still got a chance.
Well, if they keep on winning, and who knows what's going to happen to the AFC North when they play teams outside of their division.
Yeah, that is for sure, because they've all played within except for the Baltimore Ravens in one game against Houston. That being said, there was just oh man, there was I'm blanking. There was just a lot of good defense in this game.
I mean, TJ Watt steamrolled them so many times. What was it? Highsmith played. Got one of the, I think got one of the touchdowns on defense, and there was a lot of good pieces on the defense that the defense is going to keep them in contention.
Right. Only thing I want to mention is, again, just like Joey Porter Jr. played more, he didn't get called for a penalty that should have been a penalty, and it is a little ridiculous when you okay, I get it that the officials up in the booth, they want to call less challenges, make some streamline the process of getting where the ball goes and stuff like that. So why can't they say, hey, that should be a penalty last 2 minutes of the game? Maybe that's when they should call it, like, especially when it's like crucial within a score kind of game, like the Broncos game, like the Dolphins game, where there were either weird calls or no call. There was weird call in Miami, a bad no call in Denver, and this was a bad no call because Joey Porter Jr. clearly had his hands on the sleeves, on the jersey,
was tugging it. You can clearly see it.
The ball, and you know what? I can't say, because we don't know. The ball wasn't really out of place, like where it was not catchable. It was, I think that if he wasn't, like, there might have been a one-on grab or something like that. It's too hard to tell. It was still some pass interference. That's as simple as it was, because if you can call pass interference where the ball's in, that might be if you can call defensive pass interference to players that aren't involved in where the ball's going, like say on the other side of the field, you can call it even if it looks slightly, maybe even a little bit out. It was enough. It looked like enough that it should have been called. Like the ball was close enough to Donovan Peoples-Jones that it should have been called.
Yeah.
With that being said, I mean, Steelers still played great defense. I still think that they would have won, but if you want to
let it play out,
you want it to play out correctly and make it, and have it feel right.
Because with the other games, no one, like, I think the Dolphins still would have won even if the Patriots made that, but no one said, and even if Denver gets another chance at the 2-point conversion, they might make the 2-point conversion, but no one says they win the game if you go into overtime.
Right. I felt like we didn't do enough to win that game, but we did enough. We should have made made it to overtime. I at least feel like we deserved overtime.
You deserved your other chance at the 2-point conversion, which would have been really close and probably ran in.
Right,
But
we
you
probably
still
would have
need
done the butt push type thing.
Yeah, you still needed to accomplish that, and you still deserve the chance to accomplish that.
Yep.
And I don't understand why they don't. It's like, just call the penalty. What? So the game goes on longer. Who does that hurt?
Right? People that have to work the next day. But so I mean, they get it going a little tired, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it at the end of the day, I don't think it would have made a difference. It still just sucks.
Yeah.
But if we don't, is there anything else we want to add into the week 2 in review?
Just hopefully week 3 has a lot less injuries.
I hope so too, because like even like all of the concussion people, anybody got hurt, I hope
Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's like, I think, done for the season now too for the Lions.
That sucks. I hope people can recover. I hope anybody who can come back this season, can come back healthy, and everybody who has a significant injury, say Chauncey Gardner-Johnson or Nick Chubb, get healthy, get well. If you do listen to this, we wish you all the best, and we just hope to hear good news from your agents, from your teams as soon as possible. So get well soon.
Yes, heal well, get well soon.
And with that, that is our NFL week 2 in review, and we'll catch you later. Please like, share, and subscribe, and have a good one.